In the park, there are two children playing the game of building sand castles, when suddenly a brat jumps in and ruins it. With his fierce nature from a young age, Seth Kwon didn't say much, jumped up and punched the brat in the mouth, making him sit on the ground crying and whining. Later, the brat called his brother to take revenge. But the result was still being kicked by Seth Kwon, sweeping the whole set. So the Nightingales stopped singing from then on. They didn't know he was the boss of the kindergarten. Going to grade 5, Seth Kwon continued to be the big brother of the elementary school. One day, when he was going to school, there were a few high school students who wanted to bully him. "Pay us, kid." This kid quickly took out all the money. A little is 5 eggs, a lot is a basket of eggs. Seth Kwon was not afraid, but said they were beggars, making a young man angry. He tried to hit him, but he dodged very smoothly. Then, he was kneed in the mouth by him, twisting his profile picture. His friend was the redhead, angry, rushed to hit Seth Kwon with the nature of a dog with more blood than brain. He picked up a stone from the ground and hit it on the head of this guy. At present, the students of the special class knew that Seth Kwon was not easy. In the end, he alone took down the whole gang, leaving only 2 girls. The male students lay on the ground moaning like trash. Because of this, Seth Kwon was taken away by the Royal Army. Because he was young, he was only warned. Not wanting to worry his mother, Seth Kwon promised her, "From now on, I will never fight again." Years later, Seth Kwon was a high school student. At school, he was often bullied by the students in the class. Because he kept his promise to his mother, Seth Kwon did not fight back. But these guys were born in the same year as him. All Seth Kwon wanted was to see the gentle smile on his mother's face. Unexpectedly, one day, a convoy of cars suddenly came to Seth Kwon's family's coffee shop. A man in black came with a photo of his father and announced, "He has passed away." Upon hearing this news, his mother was extremely heartbroken. A few days after the funeral, Seth Kwon transferred to another high school. The homeroom teacher introduced Seth Kwon to the whole class, and asked everyone to help the new student. While the girls were gossiping about Seth Kwon's handsome appearance, one of them recognized him. He said, "My name is Seth Kwon, I hope you will help me." Then, the homeroom teacher arranged a seat for him next to a blonde-haired boy who was sleeping soundly. Unexpectedly, Seth Kwon had changed schools, but still met the guys who had bullied him at the old school. At recess, they started to approach him to pick a fight. However, Seth Kwon just smirked, making them very angry. They wanted to gang up on Seth Kwon right in the classroom, but they were afraid of the blonde-haired boy. So they had to leave, but not before warning Seth Kwon. This is not over yet. The next class started. An old teacher walked in, but he did not know what the lesson was today, making the whole class speechless. Throughout the class, the bully kept an eye on Seth Kwon. He swore that he would make him pay for ignoring him. But our main character did not care, he just looked out the window and admired the scenery. The girl from before, who was looking at Seth Kwon, was sure that he was the childhood friend that she used to know. When Seth Kwon turned to look at her, she was startled and turned her head away. He suddenly felt confused. Could it be that she knew him? After that, he did not care anymore, because the wind was so cool that he felt sleepy. At the next recess, it seemed that the blonde-haired boy had enough sleep, so he walked out of the class. Seeing that, the delinquent students quickly signaled each other to prepare to attack Seth Kwon. But very soon, they were stopped by a hand. It was the girl who always peeked at Seth Kwon. Sophie was the class president, so she would not let the students cause trouble. However, at this moment, Seth Kwon said, "You should step aside, because those guys are my good friends. Do you guys still remember me? I miss you guys a lot." In the past, Seth Kwon always endured, but his grandfather told him not to respect anyone's father and son. This made the whole gang scared of his unusual behavior. A while later, the blonde-haired boy returned to class. He thought Seth Kwon had been dragged away and beaten by those guys, but he did not expect that he was still lying on the desk. Very well. It turned out that before, the three guys had been beaten by Seth Kwon. After being punched, they told their boss. Very quickly, the boss brought people into the class, asking who had just hit his brother. Everyone was afraid and pointed to Seth Kwon's seat. The boss walked to Seth Kwon's desk and said, "You look up, or you will get beaten." He was sleeping well when he was woken up. Seth Kwon was very annoyed. The boss called himself the monster of Dongrin School. He was about to mess with Seth Kwon when he suddenly saw his familiar face. It turned out that the boss was the same kid who had called his older brother to beat him, but he was kicked in the balls by him. Seth Kwon also realized that. He even asked his brothers, "How are you doing these days?" The boss sweated like a shower. In the end, he decided to leave in the confusion of his followers. This guy wanted to urge the boss to beat Seth Kwon on the spot, but the boss ordered to leave, so he had to obey. After that, the boss took out his phone and called his brother. Class ended, Seth Kwon returned to the coffee shop with his mother. She asked him how he was doing at the new school. Seth Kwon told her, "The class is very fun. I still keep my promise to Mom. I will not hit anyone unless they mess with me first." When Seth Kwon went out, there was a driver waiting outside, welcoming him back. "Boss. I told you, don't do that in front of the neighbors," the scar-faced man in black said, then hurriedly apologized. "Let's go." "Yes, boss." The car slowly rolled, and behind, Seth Kwon's mother was looking after him with a look full of thoughts. A new day at Dongzin High School began, and Seth Kwon and Blondie were lying on the desk, ignoring the teacher's lecture. The two guys were still sleeping well, sleeping from recess to class. Sophie did not know what to say to these two names anymore. Another class had passed. This time, the class was taught by a tall and sturdy teacher, who was very quick. He noticed two guys sound asleep at the back of the room. He walked down slowly, causing everyone else to be quiet too. The whole class silently mourned for the two unlucky young men. Sleeping at this time meant they were real players. The teacher immediately pinched their ears, waking them up with loud yelps. "Victor, last time I let you off because you had a tournament coming up. But who is this guy? I haven't seen him before." "Who are you?" the class president, Sophie, quickly informed the teacher. Seth-san was the new transfer student. The teacher punished both for dozing off during class. Afterward, they had to change into gym clothes and go out to the field for their punishment. They had to run 3 laps around the schoolyard. The first to finish would not be punished. Today's behavior meant the loser would regret being born. Did you hear that? Answer me. We heard you, teacher. No need to be so tense. Before Seth Kwon could get ready, Victor, with his blonde hair, started running first. Seeing this, Seth immediately followed. If he lost, it would be very embarrassing. After a while, Victor suddenly sped up, infuriating Seth Kwon. "Are you trying to provoke me?" In the teacher's shocked gaze, the punishment turned into a race between the two most aggressive young men in the class. Whether it was sharp turns or laps around the field, they both chased each other fiercely. During the race, they didn't forget to growl at each other. At the end of the race, Victor was amazed by Seth Kwon's ability. This guy can really run, he thought. His performance also caught the teacher's eye. It was the first time he saw a student who could keep up with Victor's speed. The scene shifts to the National Stadium. This is where intense sports matches take place, and athletes compete against each other. At the moment, a wrestling final is happening. The blonde athlete is very pumped, but it's unfortunate for him that his opponent is quite handsome, like a gym version. Just one look, and you know it's dangerous. The result is as expected. The match ended with a victory for the stylish athlete with black hair, whose real name is Brooke Trang. After the match, he went to the sauna room to enjoy his victory. While relaxing, the door was suddenly pushed open by Brooks' younger brother. He came to announce that Seth Kwon had returned. It turns out that Brooke was the chubby kid who was once hit by Seth Kwon with a teapot set. Even now, he still harbors resentment over that incident. Back at Dongzin High School, the teacher was warning Seth Kwon and Victor never to doze off in his class again. Then he turned to ask Seth Kwon if he was on any sports team, as he ran so fiercely, but he said no. After failing to get any more information, he let them both return to class. At that time, it was a lesson taught by an elderly teacher who lectured very slowly. This made Victor and Seth Kwon sleepy, their eyes drooping. So, the two of them laid their heads down on the desk and slept. Truly brave men. Time passed very quickly, and it was already afternoon. Currently, Brooke was standing in front of Dongzin High School's gate. So, that bug is here, damn it. Brooke's unexpected appearance caught the attention of some people. This news also quickly spread among the student body. Down on the schoolyard, Victor was jogging for exercise. When Brooke saw him, he asked, "Where is Seth Kwon's class?" But because of Brooke's impolite attitude, Victor did not answer and just ran straight ahead. This angered him, and he pulled Victor back. "Are you deaf, you pig?" Unexpectedly, Victor was not intimidated and immediately warned the other. "Get your filthy hands off me." Brooke was quite surprised that his opponent dared to challenge him. "You really don't know who I am?" But Victor's response was a punch. However, Brooke was no ordinary opponent. Despite taking hits continuously, his hand was still able to choke Victor. "You're pretty good, but I am Brooke Trang. That means you have to die." At that moment, the teacher suddenly appeared, and both had to stop fighting. Meanwhile, the cause of the fight was still in the changing room. Always fighting. This school is truly strange. In another place, this is the student council's classroom. The guy with glasses is the student council president, Jason. "I'm sure everyone knows why I'm here. Brooke Trang has returned, no one knows why, but things are getting complicated. He is the root cause of all the trouble, the representative of the national wrestling team, Brooke Trang. The national lightweight boxing champion, Victor Chu. The physical education teacher, who timely stopped the fight between them. The student council is also full of people who are very rich and powerful, such as the captain of the Taekwondo club, Gabu, and the captain of the judo club, Sam Choi. They have investigated the reason why Brooke came here, to deal with a new transfer student, named Seth Kwon. The class ended, the students left school. Seth Kwon went outside and saw his driver, Bob, dozing off. He called him. "Hello boss, did you sleep well?" "Sorry boss." "Alright, let's go." The fact that Seth Kwon got into the car of a scared driver was accidentally witnessed by the class president. In the car, Seth Kwon told Bob to continue taking him to the old place. A while later, the car stopped in front of the coffee shop of Seth Kwon's mother. He only looked at his mother working from outside for a while, then left. After that, the car took Seth Kwon to the Sun Group. As soon as he got off the car, there were more than a dozen people in black suits bowing to him. "Welcome back, boss." Seeing that, Seth Kwon was a bit annoyed. "How many times have I told you, don't do that when I'm still wearing a school uniform?" The scene changed to the past. Seth Kwon went to visit his father's grave. The sky was gloomy and raining heavily, just like his mood. A man in a black suit came to cover Seth Kwon with an umbrella and said to him, "Go back before it gets cold." Seth Kwon asked him what kind of person his father was. The other party revealed that Seth Kwon's father was the strongest man in Korea, who always won in every fight. The boss always watched over him, sometimes he went out just to see him. The last thing he said before he died was, "Never let yourself lose." It's very shameful. The next day, the student council decided to go to the classroom to see who Seth Kwon was. The appearance of the president Jason surprised everyone. Jason was acquainted with the class president, so he asked, "Who's the new student?" The class president, curious, asked, "Is there something going on with you guys?" Jason replied, "I'm just curious about a few things." At that moment, Seth Kwon had just woken up from a good sleep. Jason guessed that he was the new student and wanted to invite him to the student council office. However, Seth Kwon didn't know who Jason was and pointed at him, asking, "Who is this guy?" The class president, sweating, hurriedly explained that Jason was the student council president. Faced with the president's request, Seth Kwon bluntly refused, "If there's something, just say it here." This made Jason extremely angry because no one in this school had ever dared to talk back to him. Jason said to Seth Kwon, "Follow me and bring that blondie next to you too." After saying that, he left amidst everyone's bewildered looks. The class president reminded them that Jason was a good person, but they still needed to be careful. Seth Kwon thanked him, then pinched his friend, causing him to scream as if he had been pricked. "He wants you to come with me." "What? Who is the student council president?" Victor, who had been sleeping soundly, was disrupted and became very annoyed. Then the two of them went down to the student room together. Before leaving, Seth Kwon told the class president, "Don't worry. They'll be fine." At that time, Jason was already waiting in the student council office for Seth Kwon and Victor. Victor casually took a chair to sit down, with a very bossy attitude. Then he asked Jason, "Why did you call me up here?" Jason got straight to the point, "Do you guys know Brooke Trang?" Victor recalled, "He's the one who choked me yesterday." Jason recounted that their Dongrin school was once a dream sports school for all young athletes. The school was specially noticed by the government and often sent young talents from all over the country. However, currently, Dongrin High School is just an ordinary school because Brooke has ruined everything. Jason revealed that Brooke came back to find Seth Kwon. He wanted to know what the relationship between Seth Kwon and Brooke was. But this young man didn't know who Brooke was. It was the first time he had heard the name. Over at the faculty room, the teacher was talking to Brooke. "I heard you joined the national team, right?" Brooke said, "I don't care what the reason is, but never give up on sports. Do you understand?" Jason was explaining to Victor and Seth Kwon about the shocking incident that caused the students involved to be suspended, including Brooke. The brawl had injured many people who could not continue their careers as athletes. Brooke was expelled and transferred to a juvenile correctional facility right after that. The unexpected event had caused Dongzin High School to lose all government funding and become a normal school. That year, the only person who helped Brooke was the physical education teacher. Currently, he had helped Brooke avoid going to the correctional facility, and even introduced him to a team. But in a nutshell, Seth Kwon still didn't know why that guy wanted to find him. The class ended, the two of them just stepped out of the school gate and saw the class president waiting for them. Seeing that, Victor quickly made an excuse to create an opportunity for his friend to stay and talk to Sophie. Seth Kwon suddenly asked the class president, "Are you waiting for me here?" making her startled. At this time, Sophie shyly asked Seth Kwon if he remembered who she was. Seth Kwon confidently answered, "Of course I remember, because you are the class president." "I don't mean that, I mean when we were kids." Actually, Seth Kwon still remembered Sophia was the girl who went to kindergarten with him. And to recall, in the spring nursery, the Golden Deer class, they often played the sandcastle game. Even once Sophia secretly kissed him. Seth Kwon told her that he wouldn't tell anyone about the kissing, because they were still children then. She felt embarrassed, wanting to hide. Seth Kwon asked Sophie, "Is she waiting for me?" At this time, Sophie suddenly saw someone coming and shouted at Seth Kwon's face, "Who said I was waiting for you, you idiot?" After saying that, Sophie immediately fell down, making him wonder what was wrong with this girl. It was getting dark, so Seth Kwon had to go home. He suddenly remembered Sophie's wish when she was young, that when they grew up they would do something together. Seth Kwan went to the car and found his driver sleeping. He didn't know if this guy was exploited at work, but he always saw him sleeping. The driver asked Seth Kwan if he wanted to go to his mother's place like before, but he said no, just go straight to the company. The Sun Group was the business that Seth Kwan's father left for him. After his father died, Seth Kwan became the chairman, with a lot of troubles and a bunch of work to solve, giving him a headache. It's not that being a chairman with a lot of money is fun. The black-glassed bodyguard advised Seth Kwan, work seriously, because the Sun Group is your father's lifeblood. This is not an ordinary company, its origins are still in the underworld. But on the outside, it appears to be a legitimate company. Investment, finance, or entertainment sectors, all are initiated from the underworld. Since Seth Kwan is the only son of the late chairman, he has been established as the heir. However, this year Seth Kwan is only 17 years old, so he must train for 2 more years before he can officially take over the management of the corporation. At this moment, the phone in the chairman's office suddenly rang. The bodyguard picked up the phone and received news that some people from Busan had arrived. After hearing this, his face suddenly turned grim. Very quickly, the door to the room was kicked open. The person who entered was the head of the Sun Corporation branch in Busan. His name is Derek. The bodyguard asked him if he was planning a rebellion. It turns out, Derek has always been dissatisfied with Seth Kwan because, in his eyes, he is just a kid, yet he is the heir to the corporation. The bodyguard wanted to say something else, but Seth Kwan stopped him and asked Derek, "Does your nose still hurt?" He replied, "Last time, it was just a bit of carelessness on my part." Seth Kwan then asked him, "So, do you want a rematch?" "You've come at the right time because I'm in a very bad mood today." As soon as he finished speaking, Seth Kwan leaped from his desk and charged straight at Derek. So fast that Derek couldn't react in time. He aimed a kick at Derek, intending to hit him. But realizing he used too much force, he thought to himself, "That's it." The next day, Seth Kwan went back to school. The driver wished him a good day. In a hidden corner, Brooke and his younger brother were already waiting near the school gate. Seeing Seth Kwan enter the school, he immediately ordered his brother to bring him outside. Their furtive actions were discovered by the student council. So, the president, Jason, warned everyone to be careful. A guy, smooth as cream, couldn't hold back his anger and slammed the table. "Are we really going to let that Brooke come and go as he pleases? He is currently the representative of the national team. We can't fight with him. So, what do you think? Why has our school become like this now? It's all because of that damn guy." Seeing the two arguing, the president Jason told them to be quiet. It's all in the past. There's no point in bringing it up. But this brother still didn't accept it. He swore to get back what he had lost. On the other side, Brooke's younger brother went into Seth Kwan's class. He saw him lying on the desk, sleeping very well. It seemed that a guy like him was still quite tough. So he only dared to pat him lightly on the shoulder and said, "I have something to tell you." Feeling sleepy, Seth Kwan didn't want to listen. But the other party said it was very important. Then, he left his nap and followed him. At the next table, Victor also didn't sleep anymore and his eyes always followed them. Besides Victor, there was also the class president who saw them leave together. At the back of the school, Brooke was sitting on the stairs. On the ground were some students from Dongzin School who had been beaten by him. It turned out that the guy in the student council had called someone to beat Brooke. Brooke asked him, "Is that all you got?" Making him angry, he rushed up and kicked. But the kick was blocked by Brooke's hand. The other hand of Brooke grabbed his ankle. Then, he lifted him up and slammed him down hard, making him eat dirt. As soon as Brooke was about to cripple his legs, the president Jason intervened. Jason asked Brooke, "Why are you here?" He was no longer a student of Dongrin School. Brooke said, "I just came here to find the new student." With the position of the student council president, Jason would absolutely not allow him to cause trouble in the school. At this time, two figures suddenly appeared behind Jason. It turned out that Seth Kwon had followed Brooks' younger brother here. Meeting his old enemy, Brooks' eyes immediately flashed with blood, extremely angry. On the contrary, Seth Kwon feels very happy when he meets someone he knows. Brooks strides over to Seth Kwon, intending to avenge an old grudge, but is stopped by the president, Jason. He said he would not allow him to cause chaos in the school, but Seth Kwon pushed the team captain aside. If Brooke has come all this way to find him, then he will not avoid him. The president worries that the two will cause trouble for the school, but Seth Kwon assures that nothing will happen. Then, Seth Kwon steps forward and says to Brooke, "Let's go to the gym, as it's not convenient here." The two will go up to the boxing ring and play by the rules. The fierce look in Seth Kwon's eyes makes both Brooke and Jason feel a bit scared. Very quickly, the match attracts many students to watch. The challenger is the new transfer student, Seth Kwon. The challenge is the expelled student, Brooke Trang. The president is feeling troubled about this and is even asked by a friend if he organized the fight, which gives him a headache. As both are preparing to enter the ring, the physical education teacher suddenly appears. Seeing this, the friend snitches to the teacher, it's all because of the president. Everyone thought the physical education teacher would stop them, but actually, he came to give gloves to the two. The teacher also acts as the referee and explains the rules of the match. There are 3 rounds, each lasting 3 minutes. Elsewhere, news of Brooke and the new student about to fight has also reached Sophie and Victor. At this moment, on the ring, both are ready. Seth Kwon asks Brooke, "Did you come looking for me because you're still bitter about the beating you got as a kid?" Brooke does not deny it and says, that was the only time he tasted defeat. The bell rings, and the referee declares the start of the match. Brooke immediately throws a very fast punch, but Seth Kwon dodges in time. He quickly closes in, grabs Brooke's hand, and delivers a powerful knee to Brooke's stomach, causing him to fall to the floor. Without waiting for Brooke to have a chance to stand up, Seth Kwon follows up with a blow to the opponent's back, causing him to fall once again to everyone's astonishment. The new student is really tough. Seth Kwon reminds the teacher to start counting, but surprisingly, after taking a whole combo from him, he is still able to stand up. This guy is really tough. At this moment, the class president, Sophie, enters the gym and sees Seth Kwon fighting with Brooke on the ring. She is very worried because everyone at Dongzin School knows how dangerous Brooke is. Seth Kwon said to Brooke, "If you admit defeat, I will spare you." But Brooke did not agree, and kept attacking, making him lose patience. Finally, when Brooke was careless, Seth Kwon grabbed his hair and slammed him hard on the floor. Then, in the fearful eyes of everyone, he punched Brooke's face repeatedly and forcefully. Even the teacher shouted at Seth Kwon to stop. Otherwise, Brooke would be killed by him. Right after that, Brooke was taken to the Sun Hospital. At that time, he was lying on the bed with injuries all over his body. They had been carefully bandaged. When Brooke woke up from his coma, the teacher told him that his skull had been cracked, and his ribs had also been broken. The teacher had informed Brooke's team that he had been injured during training. They agreed to pay the hospital fee, but they had another member in the team to replace him in the upcoming tournament. Brooke did not say anything, just sat in a daze, making the teacher think that he was regretting missing the tournament. However, Brooke did not care about that, because he had found something more interesting than fighting. Back to Seth Kwon's class, since he had beaten Brooke to a pulp on the floor, everyone around him always looked at him with awe. They were afraid that they would also be sent to the hospital like Brooke. Even the bullies who were smoking in the bathroom, when they saw Seth Kwon come in to pee, they also dropped their cigarettes and flew away. While squeezing the water factory's neck, Victor came to ask him if he was free. It turned out that Victor was angry because Seth Kwon had taken his opponent. He had asked Seth Kwon for an appointment at 8 p.m. at the boxing gym. The main character was so unrealistic. He was peeing and someone came to challenge him. Why not make an appointment at another time? At 7 p.m., Victor was in the physical education room. He had prepared a pair of blue boxing gloves. Victor remembered the fight between him and Brooke. He was very strong, but he was still beaten by Seth Kwon like a child. This proved that Seth Kwon's skill was much stronger than Brooke's, making Victor feel a bit nervous. But he had already asked for an appointment, so he had to take a risk. However, Victor waited for more than an hour. The time was 8:13 p.m., but he still did not see Seth Kwon appear. He was very angry because he thought that Seth Kwon had stood him up. At that time, at the Sun Corporation, Seth Kwon did not want to go, but he could not go. Because the bodyguard had given him a pile of documents that needed the chairman's approval. Despite Seth Kwon saying he had an appointment with a friend, the bodyguard still insisted that he could not go anywhere until his work was finished. The next day, Victor was still upset with the main character, so he took out his anger on a punching bag in a boxing gym. Victor's uncle, seeing him train so diligently, advised him not to overdo it since there were no tournaments at the moment. Not many people watch boxing anymore. Why don't you switch to another sport? You don't box just for the money, you have a promise to keep. To become a world champion, you must work tirelessly from now on. Hearing this, Victor's uncle could only sigh and stopped advising him. Victor said, "Uncle, don't worry, I have a tournament coming up soon. Please excuse me, I need to go to school." After Victor left his uncle's gym, a black car arrived. A group of men in black got out of the car and started discussing how valuable the boxing gym was. Victor jogged to school, and as soon as he entered the classroom, he saw Seth Kwon sleeping soundly. Angrily, he kicked Seth Kwon's chair, waking him up with a sleepy and confused face. "It's only 6:45 a.m., not even 7 o'clock yet, who woke me up so early?" Seth Kwon turned around and realized it was Victor who had kicked his chair. Victor asked, "Why didn't you come to the gym last night?" Seth Kwon yawned and said, "I was busy last night." Victor continued, "Are you afraid to fight me?" Seth Kwon stood up to face Victor and declared, "I've never been afraid of anyone. As for fighting, I'm not scared at all." His words enraged Victor, who threw a punch at Seth Kwon's face. However, Seth Kwon caught Victor's punch with just one hand. Victor, still not admitting defeat, continued to throw a series of punches, but Seth Kwon dodged them all. At that moment, Seth Kwon had backed up to the window. Victor, seeing that Seth Kwon had no way to escape, took the opportunity to strike. He thought, Seth Kwon won't be able to dodge this time. But the punch was easily blocked by Seth Kwon. Just then, other students entered the classroom, so the two decided to postpone their fight. Otherwise, they would both end up being sent to the teacher's room during the next class. Everyone in the class, including both students and teachers, was tense, not knowing when these two would start fighting each other. Fortunately, although they were annoyed with each other, they still managed to hold back. The last class of the morning ended at 12 p.m. The two young men were planning to ask each other for a meeting to settle things, but then Sophie invited Seth Kwon to lunch. He felt a bit hungry, so he decided to eat first and deal with the matter later. That afternoon, the class proceeded as usual. The two of them slept through the entire period. As the late afternoon class was about to end, Victor told Seth Kwon, "Follow me." However, after walking a bit, Seth Kwon thought it was taking too long, so he suggested Victor get in his car to go faster. Then, the driver took them to Uncle Victor's boxing gym. While the driver was parked outside, smoking a cigarette, a black car suddenly stopped. A group of people got out, holding weapons. Inside the gym, Seth Kwon and Victor, unaware of this, were still challenging each other. "Come on, get up here. Today I'm going to give you a beating," Victor said, then handed the gloves to Seth Kwon. But Victor insisted Seth Kwon fight without gloves, as it was his playground. After that, Seth Kwon took off his shirt, revealing a muscular body covered with numerous scars. Just as the two were about to start fighting, Uncle Victor suddenly announced that there was trouble outside. When Seth Kwon went outside, the young men had already been taught a lesson in physics by the driver. Seth Kwon asked the driver, "What happened?" The driver replied, "They were planning to attack the gym. I don't know who they are or what they want." Seth Kwon ordered, "Then bring one of them back to the company for me." After that, the driver randomly grabbed one of them and took him to the chairman's office of the Sunlight Corporation. The man confessed that the gym owner had encroached on his territory. Currently, the gym owner doesn't have the money to pay, so they wanted to forcibly take over the gym with violence. Seth Kwon asked his uncle, the security guard, "In this situation, what should people like us do?" The next day, everyone suddenly discovered that Victor was not at school. All eyes in the class turned to Seth Kwon, as if he had done something. But the truth was, Seth Kwon also didn't know where Victor was. When the last class of the morning ended, Victor finally appeared. Victor went to Seth Kwon's place and told him to go outside to talk. Then, Victor took out a bag and asked, "What is this?" "Yesterday, the debt collectors gave this to my uncle. This is all the debt of my father, plus some other taxes." "You did this, didn't you, Seth Kwon? Who do you think you are to interfere with my family's business? If you don't want it, just give it back. Just focus on your boxing. I thought you promised your father to become a champion. There's one more thing, just tell me. Whenever you want to fight, I'm not afraid." After that, Seth Kwon left in Victor's stunned gaze. He watched Seth Kwon's back and didn't know what to say. Seth Kwon was about to leave, when he met the class president hiding behind the wall. It turned out that Sophie was worried that he and Victor would have a conflict. Seth Kwon asked Sophie, "Are you worried about me?" She blushed and said, "I'm the class president, so I care about my classmates. Don't worry, I won't fight in class." "Sophie, you haven't changed at all. You are always kind and caring for others. See you later." The conversation of the two was seen by the club president Jason. That bastard, he should know his place. In another place, the branch manager of the Sun Group in Busan, Derek, was kneeling before an old man. He was the third-generation leader of the Mirukyusen gang. "You really disappointed me, Derek. I'm sorry, boss, please give me another chance. The heir has not been confirmed yet. If you help me, taking over the Sun Group will be a matter of time. I heard that he is very young. Even though he is young, he was chosen as the heir, so you better be careful. But he is still just a kid, you need to find his weakness." Hearing this, Derek immediately thought of Seth Kwon's mother. The next day, the captain of the Taekwondo club, Gabe, unexpectedly led people into Seth Kwon's class to find him. This was also the group that had been beaten by Brooke before. Gabe loudly asked, "Who is the new transfer student?" Seth Kwon, without hesitation, raised his hand, "Are you the one who defeated Brock? Come outside with me." But Seth Kwon refused, because he doesn't just do what others tell him to. At that moment, a tall, dark, and smelly guy entered the class and said to Gabe, "Don't touch the new student. He will join my judo club." As for the main character, he was puzzled, not knowing who these two were. While there was an argument inside the classroom, outside, two groups of people were glaring at each other. One was Damien Cha, the captain of the wrestling club, and the other was Scott Choi, the captain of the kendo club. Seth Kwon ran his fingers through his hair, thinking, "What now? This class is really noisy." Realizing that his childhood friend was about to lose his temper, the class president quickly told them, "Go outside to argue." It turned out that all these club captains had come here to recruit Seth Kwon into their clubs. After driving them away, Sophie immediately slammed the door shut. Unexpectedly, the club captains entered through another door. They kept trying to persuade Seth Kwon to join, saying, "Learn this, learn that," but he was not interested. Finally, when the physical education teacher appeared, they all agreed to leave. Afterward, the teacher called Seth Kwon to the staff room to talk. "Surely, you know that our school was originally for athletes. You should try playing a sport too. Do you know Brock Train? The guy you defeated the other day. Brock was also like you, every club wanted him, which led to a sad event in the past. I don't want history to repeat itself with Seth Kwon. You don't have time for sports. What could a high school student like you be busy with? The people who need to hear this are those students down there, not you. Please tell them not to bother you anymore. Otherwise, I won't be able to stay friendly." Jason, the student council president, overheard their conversation as he passed by the staff room. He thought Seth Kwon was an arrogant student. Therefore, Jason decided to teach him a lesson. "Isn't this our respected student council president? What brings you here? I need you to handle someone." The next day, Seth Kwon went to school as usual. Then, someone suddenly hit him from behind with a stick. When he woke up, Seth Kwon found himself in an abandoned warehouse. Around him were some delinquent students, holding wooden sticks. One of them kicked Seth Kwon in the back and told him, "Get up fast, open your mouth." But he was not angry, he felt very happy. The leader of them saw that Seth Kwon was not afraid and was very angry. The guy who kicked Seth Kwon earlier swung his stick, trying to hit him secretly. But he was punched by Seth Kwon and broke his arm. He screamed in pain, his fingers were twisted and looked very horrible. Next, Seth Kwon added a few more punches and knocked him out. After beating him, Seth Kwon asked, "Who are you?" But he thought again and didn't care. He beat them all anyway. At this time, the delinquent students surrounded Seth Kwon and did not let him escape. The leader shouted, "Beat the hell out of him for me." And then they all rushed in, trying to eat the main character. In that situation, Seth Kwon calmly knocked down each opponent. His straight punches made them lose their fighting ability. There was a muscular guy who tried to use a chain to control Seth Kwon. But he was immediately fingered by Seth Kwon and gave him a left hook. He took his weapon. He said, "If anyone else wants to make money, just come here. I'm so scared of you guys." The leader was very angry and told his men to get weapons from the barrel. There were wooden sticks, iron sticks, all kinds of things. Then they all attacked Seth Kwon with weapons. He still calmly dodged and knocked them down one by one. But because there were too many of them, he was controlled by one guy from behind. Another guy immediately swung his stick, trying to hit him. But he was kicked in the face by Seth Kwon. The guy who was holding him was also pushed hard into the wall and felt pain. Seth Kwon turned around and added a punch to make him unconscious. Because he was not paying attention, Seth Kwon was hit on the head with a stick from behind. However, the attackers did not expect that this would only make him even more furious. Very quickly, the group of problematic students all fell into the storage room. Only the leader was left, trembling with fear. Seth Kwon approached, grabbed the leader's shirt, and asked, "Who sent you to do this?" Elsewhere, Student Council President Jason was waiting for a call from the problematic students when Seth Kwon suddenly appeared, leaving him extremely confused. Jason, sweating, asked Seth Kwon, "Why are you here?" Seth Kwon did not answer but just grabbed Jason's hair and forcefully pushed his head down onto the table. Seth Kwon asked Jason, "Why did you find someone to beat me up?" But at that moment, SoFi came looking for the student council, so Seth Kwon decided to let Jason off for now. "Consider yourself lucky today." After saying that, he stepped outside, with the wound on his head still bleeding. As he passed by SoFi, he did not explain anything. The next morning, SoFi sat in class, lost in thought. She was sad, thinking about what happened the day before. Why did Seth Kwon do that to the student council president? Outside the school gates, Seth Kwon was dropped off by his uncle wearing dark glasses. he had also prepared a formidable team of bodyguards to protect the chairman. Seth Kwon felt that this was an overreaction. How could a high school student bring bodyguards to school? His uncle said, "Rest assured. They will not enter the school." He had arranged them around the area near the school, in case of emergencies. He also mentioned that recently, there had been some trouble at the branches in Busan and Pohang, so Seth Kwon needed to be cautious. In the end, he accepted that his uncle had prepared bodyguards for him. After that, the bodyguards were positioned outside, while Seth Kwon entered the classroom alone. Sophie saw him but was still upset about the previous day, so she did not speak to him. As soon as he sat down, Seth Kwon was teased by Victor. "Did you get beaten up yesterday?" Seth Kwon explained to his friend that he had taken on 14 guys by himself, but Victor did not believe him and accused him of exaggerating. "You're used to talking nonsense," which made Seth Kwon very angry. While everyone was sitting and studying, the school loudspeaker suddenly announced, "Student Seth Kwon from class 11A3, please come down to the principal's office." Seth Kwon stood up and asked Victor, "Where's the principal's office?" Victor did not answer but asked back, "Did you cause trouble with Jason?" Victor revealed that Jason's uncle was the principal of Dongzin School, and his father was the owner of the school. Victor warned Seth Kwon to be careful with Jason, as one never knows what might happen. But Seth Kwon did not care. When Seth Kwon arrived at the principal's office, there were 4 people there, including the gym teacher, the homeroom teacher and Jason. This man was the principal Kevin Sin and also Victor's uncle. He asked Seth Kwon, "You have caused a lot of trouble since you came to school, haven't you? 3 cases of school violence and above all, publicly fighting the student council president." The principal declared, from now on Seth Kwon was officially expelled from school. The homeroom teacher and the gym teacher felt sorry. But this was the decision of the principal, so they could not object. Jason smirked, as if telling Seth Kwon that this was the result of offending him. But very soon, Jason realized that something was wrong. Seth Kwon was not worried or afraid, but smiled gloomily. Then, he took out his phone from his pocket, called his bodyguard and told him to buy this school for him. Not long after, a convoy of cars appeared in front of Dongzin School. The scarred face quickly got out of the car. Behind him were the black suits with a very prestigious appearance. Then, Jason felt cold. He asked Seth Kwon what he had done, then the scarred face led the people into the principal's office. Jason wanted to say something but was gagged by a black suit. The black suit shook his head to signal him to shut up, making him not dare to say more. Then, the scarred face walked to the principal's seat and threw an envelope on the principal's desk. Angry, the principal asked, "How dare you barge in here?" The scarred face told him to read it and then talk. When the principal opened the document inside, his face suddenly changed color. It seemed that he had been involved in some embezzlement and illegal business in the past 3 years. "If he sold the school to us, we would keep quiet. You bastard, how dare you?" But he hadn't finished speaking, when he was choked by the scarred face, taking advantage of the school to make money, putting it in his pocket. "People like you still dare to open your mouth, just relax and enjoy. Flashiness is not our way of doing things." That night, Principal Kevin talked about this with his brother. This man is his brother and also Jason's father. He has investigated and found out that the Dark Society is behind the Andyun Corporation. Afterward, he called his son into the room to get to the bottom of things. "Who did you call to beat up?" In the end, Jason also felt very regretful when he found out that Seth Kwon was not an ordinary high school student. At this moment, at the Andyun Corporation, the scar-faced uncle is reporting to Seth Kwon that the purchase of the school has been completed. Since the principal's criminal evidence was caught, he had no choice but to agree. Actually, this morning, because he was annoyed with the principal, Seth Kwon just said it for fun. "Look at you, the scar-faced uncle actually spent the money and bought the school outright. Now, he is sweating because he does not know how to manage the school in the future. The next day, Seth Kwon went to class as usual, which surprised Victor. He couldn't believe that this guy punched the principal's nephew and was still allowed to attend school. It's really unbelievable. Sophie is also worried about Seth Kwon and hurriedly asks if he is okay. Seth Kwon says that everything is fine, and there is no need to worry. While the two were talking, Jason suddenly pushed the door and entered the classroom. He pointed at Seth Kwon's face and declared, "As if I would be afraid of you." However, as soon as Seth Kwon was about to stand up, the young man quickly disappeared like a swallow, leaving him speechless and not understanding what was happening. On this side, the scar-faced uncle called the PE teacher into the principal's office to discuss business. "You called me here, how can I help you?" "I want you to become the new chairman of Dongrin High School. This is a decision made by the new owner of the school." The PE teacher was extremely shocked, suddenly becoming the principal. Time flies very quickly. It was late afternoon, and Jason had contacted a group of thugs. He wanted to hire them to kidnap Seth Kwon. Seeing an easy target, a high school student, they agreed. But when the gangsters discovered that the target was Seth Kwon, they immediately turned around and hurriedly returned the money to Jason. "Everyone, get out of here." Jason angrily didn't understand how strong Seth Kwon's power was that they had to be afraid. But very quickly, he saw him being picked up by a whole team of four-wheelers. Jason was now scared, realizing that he had messed with the wrong person, but it was too late. In his free time, if Seth Kwon didn't go to the company, he would go to his mother's coffee shop. Seth Kwon was curious, why didn't his mother live with his father? It seemed that Seth Kwon's mother wanted to avoid answering this issue. She told Seth Kwon, "I'll tell you later when I have a chance." It was just that when she saw her son leave, her eyes were a little worried. It seemed that her eyes hid a lot of past secrets that couldn't be told. "We'll live separately for now." "No, I don't want to leave you. We have to do this for our son." Seth Kwon's mother was reminiscing about the past, when a few people walked into the shop. Unexpectedly, the leader was Derek. "Long time no see, madam." At this time, Seth Kwon was sitting in the car going to school, so he didn't know anything. "I told the physical education teacher to be the president. After becoming a normal school, this school started to drown in debt. I'm thinking of investing more than 3 million, but the problem now is to make the school back to being a school for athletes like before. The condition is that our students attract the attention of the media. South Korea is a country where money is power, and we have a lot of money." In the class of the old teacher, who looked like he was about to go bankrupt, Seth Kwon was sleeping soundly, when he was suddenly awakened by the sound of his phone. He picked up the phone and asked, "Who's calling?" The other end of the line said, "Hello, my beloved hidden master." But Seth Kwon didn't recognize the voice, so he asked, "Who are you?" "This bastard, you don't recognize my voice? I'm Derek, from Busan, but now I'm in your class." After saying that, Seth Kwon hung up and went back to sleep. And the whole class looked at him like a playboy. He was indeed a generous man. "The customer you just called is not available. You guys go catch him and bring him to me. You little brat, still wet behind the ears, I will teach you what manners are." On this side, Seth Kwon is yawning repeatedly. He has just woken up from a good sleep. Seeing Victor still asleep, with his hair standing on end, he starts to play with his hair. But Victor's hair is so stiff that it pokes his hand and bleeds. Fortunately, it was all just a dream. Seth Kwon is still sleeping. After class ends in the late afternoon, Seth Kwon walks out of the school gate. Suddenly, 2 men in black block his way and tell him to come with them. The driver immediately appears and asks them what they want. "How dare you order my boss around? What are you doing here? Just look at this." This is a message from branch manager Derek. Looking at their phone, Seth Kwon is furious. Because the person in the video is his mother. These people have kidnapped her, making him enraged. Seth Kwon immediately takes down the nearest man with a punch. The second man, not yet reacting, also receives a punch to the face. Seth Kwon demands that he reveal where his mother is, but the man has been knocked out cold, unable to speak. Seth Kwon immediately gets in the car and calls to report this to his uncle, the bodyguard. He is extremely worried about his mother's safety, but the man advises him to calm down and not let them achieve their goal. Nothing will happen because the lady boss is not an ordinary woman. At this moment, Derek is at a construction site waiting for news from his subordinates. "I'm sorry, madam, I had no other choice but to take you hostage. It's just that I can't let a brat become the chairman of the Andyun Corporation." Facing Derek, Seth Kwon's mother calmly says that her son will do better than him, which angers him. After speaking, she suddenly stands up from her chair and looks at Derek with a cold gaze. In her eyes, there seems to be no emotion. At this time, Seth Kwon has come to the construction site worried about his mother. So as soon as he gets out of the car, he runs quickly to search for her everywhere. When Seth Kwon sees his mother, he also sees a pile of people she has taken down. Derek was scared because he was grabbed by the collar by the lady. She only let him go when she saw her son arrive. But after witnessing what had just happened, Derek was psychologically traumatized and kept saying, "Please save me." "I see the boss is back." The uncle guard immediately bowed to greet the boss. "Go on, son, it's time to open the coffee shop." Returning home, Seth Kwon couldn't help but ask his mother what was going on. She just said it was a secret, she would tell him another time, he didn't need to understand. Anyway, she was still his mother. Outside the coffee shop, the uncle guard's eyes were always looking at Seth Kwon and his mother. He suddenly remembered the past, once when Seth Kwon was still young. He was watching his mother play yo-yo, while the chairman, his father, was sitting next to him. Suddenly, the lady swung the yo-yo into Seth Kwon's chin, making his old man sweat. Seth Kwon was hurt immediately, crying softly. The lady had to coax him for a long time before he stopped. The chairman also had to sweat with the way his wife looked after their son. Because he had been hit once, he dodged very quickly the next time. And his father was always terrified. His wife and son gave the chairman a headache. The uncle guard standing next to him was also speechless with this family. So that's why the chairman insisted on living separately before, right, Rodney? Yes, sir, the Japanese mafia are the ones behind the uprising in Busan recently. From now on, pay more attention to the young master. Remember to bring your weapon. Thank you, sir. One more thing, who do you think we should send to school? We still need a bodyguard who can follow and protect the young master at all times. Let's send 2 of our bodyguards to school, as students. In another place, Sophie was eating with her father. Seeing her daughter sitting blankly looking at the spoon, he asked. "Sophie, what's wrong?" "Nothing, Dad. If someone bothers you, Dad will take care of it." "Don't hide anything, Dad is a prosecutor, you can't be arbitrary like that." "No, the problem is that Dad's daughter is the most important thing." "I know, but there's nothing big." "Dad, don't worry." "So there really is something going on." "I told you there's nothing wrong, but it's really annoying." "Dad, hurry up and eat." At our martial arts hall, the chairman has received news of Derek's failure. That's why I hate entrusting tasks to those Korean shovel guys. "So what about the Andyun Corporation, sir? What are your plans? You said their chairman is just a high school student, right? Then send Akira over there. If you want to achieve your goal, you must stop at nothing." The next day, at the office of Dongrin School, the new principal still couldn't get used to his duties. He was just a PE teacher before, and now he's answering a phone that suddenly rings on the desk. "Hello, this is the representative of the Andyun Corporation. We will have a new student transferred today. Please arrange for the new student to join Seth Kwon's class." The principal just hangs up the phone, and someone knocks on the door outside. Unexpectedly, the person looking for him is Brooke. "Why are you here? You never wanted to come to school, did you? I came to congratulate you on becoming the new principal and also to ask you for a favor. Please, let me return to school. I want to graduate." Then the homeroom teacher of Seth Kwan's class introduced two new students. When they saw the faces of the new students, they were very scared. That person is Brooke Trang, the school's criminal. The second is a handsome guy like a Korean oppa, named Jun Kim, surname Jun, not Jaehyun Kim or Jijin Chopsticks or anything like that, everyone. After that, the teacher assigns seats to the two new students. As soon as he steps into the class, Brooke stares at Seth Kwan. He doesn't hesitate to stare back at his opponent. "As if I would be scared of you?" Outside, a new car is parked at the school gate. "We have arrived, Miss Akira." "So that's Seth Kwan. He's studying at this school. I'm eager to meet him." "So boring, so all of you will sign up for the field trip, right? The two new students are going too. All right then, see you all tomorrow, and the class will get to know the new students." After the teacher left, Brooke suddenly stood up, startling the two guys on the table. He walked up to Seth Kwan and Victor's face. Victor thought Brooke wanted to challenge his friend, so he decided to leave first, but he didn't expect that the person Brooke wanted to fight was him. "Do you want to fight? If you were beaten by Seth Kwan, don't think I'm easy. Not here, I want to wear gloves and fight by the rules of boxing." On this side, Seth Kwan was about to leave, when he met Sophie at the school gate. It turned out that she wanted to invite him to watch a movie, and he was free, so he agreed. In another place, the new student Jun Kim was talking to Seth Kwan's driver. It turned out that he was the bodyguard that the uncle with glasses had assigned to protect Seth Kwan in secret. That night, Victor and Brooke were practicing boxing. Victor kept attacking, but Brooke only took the hits and didn't fight back. Brooke said to Victor, "Is that all you got? Make him angry, go crazy and hit you. He can't even punch me once. You said you wanted to learn boxing. Why don't you punch, huh?" Brooke was not as fierce as before, but calm and defensive, and once he almost hit Victor's face. Although he was sometimes punched by Victor, he was very tough and still not down. On this side, Seth Kwan and Sophie were watching a movie together, to the horror part. Sophie was scared and grabbed his sleeve, then he also held her hand, making her startled and embarrassed and quickly let go. The movie ended, everyone who watched it praised it as very good. Sophie was about to leave when Seth Kwan asked her if she didn't want to eat. "Isn't that what people usually eat after watching a movie? Is that what dating is like?" Seth Kwan suddenly grabbed Sophie's hand and said, "Let's go, I know this place has good food." Then, they went into a fancy restaurant. "Is it expensive here?" "Don't worry, you can eat a lot, it's free. To be honest, this is a restaurant under my family's company, so I don't have to pay to eat here. It's complicated, but basically I'm richer than you think. Do you think I'm bluffing? It's not just that I'm a little jealous, that's all. When will we arrange the next date?" The next day, Seth Kwan sat in the car to go to school. "I will send someone to Jeju Island, the Japanese mafia. It seems they are rushing something again." "But uncle, this is just a school field trip, nothing will happen." "I'm leaving now, don't worry too much, uncle." "Hey, slap." "Yes, sir, he should go with the young master, but I think Jayabi is enough. However, we still need to be cautious of the underworld in Jeju. If he goes with the young master, I will feel more at ease." The plane took off, taking the students to Jeju Island for a tour. Everyone was very excited to go out and play. A young man was shouting and was scolded by the teacher for being too loud. "Ladies and gentlemen, are you children? Hurry up and get on the bus for me." The bus quickly took the whole class to the Jeju Tourist Hotel. Everyone got off the bus by noon. Ma'am, our class is in room 8 starting from room 802. There are numbers in front of the doors, so you will easily find your room. I give you an hour to prepare, and then we will meet here. Then, Seth Kwon found his room. Surprisingly, he was assigned to share with two young men, Brooke and Victor. Jun Kim was in the room next to them. Inside the room, everything was prepared, including 3 beds. Seth Song chose the bed in the middle, while Brooke chose the largest bed. This annoyed Victor. Why did you take the biggest bed, you guys? And so, the two exchanged passionate glances, while Seth Kwon was stuck in the middle. The chosen sightseeing location was Busan Jolie area. The class had a few hours to play, and then at 3 p.m., they would gather at the bus to return to the hotel. Sophie asked Seth Kwon if he wanted to go somewhere with her. We are on Jeju Island. Why not, he? Outside, Victor was lying on the grass when loud noises made him uncomfortable. It turned out to be a group of Chinese students talking very loudly. At that moment, Seth Kwon and Sophie were walking on the bridge when they accidentally encountered the Chinese group. Seeing Sophie, they started to tease her. You are so cute, Korean girl. Come and play with us. Why don't you go with this guy, instead of that skinny kid? What do you want? If you are in Korea, don't make us lose our good impression of Chinese people. Do you know Chinese? Come and have fun with us. Are those two skinny kids your boyfriends? Sophie didn't want to continue arguing with them, so she pulled Seth Kwon away. Behind them, the Chinese guys still sneered and gave Seth Kwon the finger. But he only looked at them with a cold gaze and left. Sophie, can you speak Chinese? When I was little, I lived in China for a few years because of my dad's job. I still study it, so I won't forget. What did those guys say just now? It's nothing, don't mind them. That's fine, I need to go to the bathroom for a bit. I'll be back soon. After that, Seth Kwon returned to the place where the Chinese guys were and smiled at them very friendly. Very quickly, Seth Kwon came back. I'm sorry, the bathroom was a bit far. It's okay, where should we go now? The scenery over there is beautiful, do you want to take some pictures? On the bridge, at this moment, the Chinese students had just been beaten up by Seth Kwon. The leader of them asked, what happened? Was there a Korean guy who hit you? Just one guy and you couldn't fight back. Don't you feel ashamed? All of you go and find that guy for me. At any cost I have to get him for this. Because of this the students in class 1B also got involved. Did you hit someone from our group? It's probably not them, go and look for someone else. The Chinese guys suddenly noticed Victor lying on the grass. One of them went to kick his leg to wake him up. He was sleeping well and then got disturbed, he was really angry. Victor didn't say much and just jumped in and hit them. You bastards. You have been barking too much. At another place, Brooke was sitting and admiring the scenery when he was also asked by the Chinese guys if he had hit someone from their group. Seeing that Brooke was still silent and didn't answer, one of them got angry and swung his fist at him, but he caught it with one hand. Perfect, I also want to exercise a bit. Thanks, buddy. Hearing that, the guy became even angrier. He continued to attack, but Brooke quickly dodged to his back and executed a suplex move. The rest of the group was very scared and did not dare to advance. A while later, all the students of class 1 to 3, including Victor and Brooke, returned to the bus. Of course, before leaving, the two had given the Chinese group a beating. Jun Kim, because he was busy talking to the driver, forgot. Now on the bus, he was scolded by the teacher for smoking. You're a high school student and you dare to smoke? Do you know how harmful smoking is for adolescents? And here I thought you were more sensible than the others who just moved here. Where did you learn such habits? Wait, what are you showing there? Jun Kim's identification card, born in 1991? So he is 27 years old this year, only 3 years younger than me. I couldn't go to school because of my family situation, but I still want to study. Can you forgive me this time, teacher? Alright, I'll let it slide this time. That was close, all good now. Oh my, this uncle is so strange. Come on, child, don't look at him. In the evening, at some bar, 3 Chinese students were sitting at a drinking table with bruised faces. Sorry, boss, we underestimated them. Idiots, there were only 3 of you and you couldn't do anything, aren't you ashamed? You must bring them to me tomorrow. You still remember their uniforms, right? Elsewhere, at this time, the driver had gone to a restaurant to visit an old acquaintance on the island. Jeju, hello. It's been a long time, Mr. Rowe. This man is named Rowe, the executive director of the Sunlight Corporation's branch on Jeju Island. This is Jeju's specialty, eat up. It looks delicious. Thank you. It must be tough being with a young master who hasn't grown up yet, right? I heard Derek went mad because the young master became the chairman, right? Derek also said he got beaten up by you again. Anyway, it's been hard, so eat up. Thanks for the meal, Mr. Rowe. You live in such a beautiful place and have so much delicious food, it's really amazing. Indeed, Jeju used to be very beautiful, but now the Chinese have occupied it. The Triad organization is still trying to invade our territory. You should tell Peter as well. It's not official information yet, but they are still secretly using financial power to manipulate us. We still can't catch them showing their true faces. Currently, the son of the Triad leader is here, but he is just traveling with his school, so there is no need to pay attention. He is also traveling with his school here. I hope everything is okay. Does he want to drink something with sashimi? But I still have to take care of him. It's just a drink, and everyone is happy to see him again. Okay then, but I will only drink a little. The next day, the Chinese group found the bus of class 1 to 3. Boss, I have seen their bus. I will follow it closely. Prepare to climb Mount Halasan. We will climb for 5 hours and then return here. If it's too difficult, just sit still. Do not wander around. Boss, they have gotten off the bus. I am still watching them. A while later, Victor and Brooke were walking when suddenly they were blocked by the Chinese student group from yesterday. Not far away, Seth Kwan was playing with Sophie and encountered a similar situation. What do you guys want to do? It's okay, Sophie. You step back. It seems like they are here to find me. Then, Seth Kwan followed them. When he arrived, he saw Victor and Brooke were also there. Very quickly, the boss of the Chinese student group appeared. He told one of his subordinates who knew Korean, "Translate what I say. I feel ashamed that my people lost to you Koreans. I will challenge you guys to a solo 1-to-1 fight. Who wants to go first?" Victor said to his 2 friends, "Let me go first in this match. I will show the Chinese what a festival is." Victor quickly threw a surprise punch. But it was dodged by the opponent, making him very scared. Before he could react, he was hit by a punch in the stomach. The punch was so strong that it made Victor kneel down and collapse. He didn't expect that the leader knew Chinese Kung Fu. It seemed that this match was not as easy as Brooke and Seth Kwan thought. The next one to fight him was Seth Kwan. He jumped and kicked with very fast speed. But he was still avoided by the guy bending down. Contrary to his large and muscular body, this guy moved very agilely. There were a few times that he almost hit Seth Kwan. He really couldn't underestimate the martial arts of the Chinese wizard. With just one kick, the leader pushed Seth Kwan back by 10 meters. But Seth Kwan felt more and more happy as he met a strong opponent. On this side, Sophie ran to find the homeroom teacher and told her what had happened. The driver and Jun Kim saw this scene and knew that something bad had happened. Something is wrong. Is it the young master? I hope not. Let's go quickly. At this time, Seth Quan and the Chinese leader were still exchanging some basic moves with each other. The martial arts of the leader were very strong, but the skill of the main character was not bad either. Seeing the two fight from the beginning to the end without a clear winner, everyone was amazed. The driver and Jun Kim arrived, and they were also astonished by the fighting skills of them. Is he really a student? The young master almost beat Peter before. Back in the match, the leader was punched in the stomach by Seth Quan, making him hurt and retreating. Taking advantage of that, Seth Quan grabbed the collar of the opponent and headbutted him hard in the face. But just as Seth Quan was about to rush up and take down the boss, an uncle with a ponytail, dressed like in the movie Land of Birds, intervened in the fight. You've lost, step aside. I haven't lost yet. Move out of the way. It would be troublesome for me if he got hurt. Be quiet, how could I lose? The Koreans can handle it. While the two were busy talking, Seth Quan rushed forward and punched the boss hard in the face. As he was about to deliver a finishing blow to his opponent, the Chinese uncle intervened again. The driver and Jun Kim quickly appeared on the scene. The driver pulled out a 3-section iron staff, and Jun Kim had a knife hidden up his sleeve. The Chinese uncle suddenly became alert and asked, "Who are you?" The two did not answer and continued to approach, but Seth Quan stopped them. You act as if I would lose to this scoundrel. Then, Seth Quan charged again. Are you teasing him? Unexpectedly, the ponytail has become the Chinese uncle's weakness. Seth Quan took advantage of this and successfully knocked him down. The field trip ended, and Seth Quan returned to the Sun Corporation. I thought you said you wouldn't cause trouble. And the other two, you were supposed to watch over him. So you mean if I'm attacked, I should run away? Remember your blessings, now Ru is in big trouble. At this time, the two Chinese men were recuperating in the hospital, all bandaged up. Ro was also there to visit them. I won't let you Koreans off. Just wait. Sun Corporation. Young master, what trouble have you brought me? You really report too much. But in the morning, a new class began. Today, both Victor and Brooke did not go to school. Two people were training hard in the boxing room of Uncle Victor. After witnessing the horror of the Chinese students, they wanted to become stronger. In class, the homeroom teacher announced that there were new students. Green beans, again? New students keep coming to this class, right? The teacher introduced, the new student this time is a Japanese girl. The boys saw the girl and immediately cheered loudly. Hello. My name is Akira. I hope you can help me. Report to the leader. She has successfully infiltrated. Remind her to be absolutely careful. If that bastard disappears, we will invade Korea. In class, everyone was crazy about the new student who was a foreigner and had a beautiful face like a doll. But very quickly, Sophie noticed. Whenever, Akira's eyes were looking at Seth Quan. Did Akira like him? Then Sophie suddenly stood up and ran to Seth Quan's seat, to the shock of everyone. Do you want to go for coffee with me? Let's go eat something delicious. Looking at the backs of the two leaving the class, Akira still smiled calmly. It seemed that she had some plot. A while later, Sophie was sitting and talking with Seth Quan under the schoolyard, when Akira suddenly came and talked to them. I heard you are the class president, right? I'm not good at Korean, so can we get acquainted? Is he your boyfriend? Seth Quan didn't hesitate and answered right away, that's right. Have a nice chat, I'm going. Sophie was very happy because Seth Quan said he was her boyfriend. Why did you come today? It's been a long time since you came. Because I have a vacation with the school. Today there is a new Japanese student in my class. She must be very beautiful, right? This is the first time you mention a girl, so I won't object. It's not what you think. She has something strange about her. She shares the same courage as her mother. Hearing this, her eyes suddenly became very serious. The next day, the lock on the rooftop door at the school was broken. The person who did this was Akira. She was standing high up, silently observing every move of Seth Kwan, to see how he would escape from me this time. After saying this, Akira lifted her skirt. She had hidden something inside her skirt. When she assembled the parts together, it became a weapon. But before Akira could act, someone appeared on the rooftop. If you stop now, I will pretend nothing happened. That person was Seth Kwan's mother. Akira immediately threw a hidden weapon in her hand towards her, but it was easily caught by her bare hands. I will also overlook this matter. You seem young, so what do you want? Who is this woman? But I need to leave here quickly. But before Akira could leave, she was subdued by Seth Kwan's mother and pressed to the ground very quickly, leaving her unable to react. It seems you still don't understand what I am saying. Why are so many students absent today? I'm sorry. Am I late? It's okay, Jun Kim. Go back to your seat. Everyone, open your books, let's start the lesson. Earlier, Jun Kim's secret identity as a bodyguard was exposed, and Seth Kwan had a talk with him. I told you I didn't want to see you anymore. I'm sorry, young master, but I asked him to let me come to school. I really want to go to school. He told me to ask you myself. Then make sure you don't get involved with me. I don't need a bodyguard, I just want a friend. Thank you, boss. Back on the rooftop, Seth Kwan's mother said to Akira, don't even think about running away. You can't escape. Take me to meet your boss. After school, Seth Kwan went to his mother's cafe. He found out that the cafe had closed for personal reasons. Seth Kwan tried to call his mother but the number was unreachable. He immediately felt that something was wrong. At that moment, Akira had taken Seth Kwan's mother to a house built in Japanese style. Stay still, don't run around. Yes, ma'am. This area is forbidden. I want to meet your boss. Which state are you from? It seems that I can't talk nicely with you people. As soon as she said that, she swung her hand and knocked out 2 guards at the door. The leader quickly pressed the button to alert his comrades. Seth Kwan's mother continued to go inside and met a young man with Japanese tattoos. He asked her who she was, but she didn't answer. He swung his hand, and suddenly the doors around opened, revealing many people with weapons, and even guns. What can a weak woman like you do? Anyone who points a weapon at me will not keep their lives. You say you don't know me? Then look carefully at this. It's for my son. Speaking of Seth Kwan, he had gone to Uncle Victor's boxing gym. He discovered that the 2 boys who skipped school today were here to fight. That's fun, isn't it? Let me join you. Just wait, I'll make you eat dirt soon. Put on your gloves and come up here. That guy seems to think boxing is easy, but do you really know the rules? 4 rounds, 3 minutes. I will make you regret it and beg for mercy. Okay, always. Uncle, help me out again. At the mansion, Seth Kwan's mother is still single-handedly taking on the entire Japanese mafia. Such a fierce mother. No wonder her son is the most ferocious in school. Like a mother, like a son. Someone tried to shoot Seth Kwan's mother from behind, but she kicked a knife back at him, stabbing him in the chest. The gun fired, but his unlucky accomplice took the bullet. Lack has gone to sell salt. Then, she picked up a katana from the ground. She sent the gunman to meet his ancestors. From now on, anyone who dares to get in my way will be cut down. At the same time, Seth Kwan's mother cleaned out the base of the Japanese mafia. The boss was hiding inside the wall, extremely scared after witnessing the bloody and ruthless scene. Seth Kwan's mother already knew where he was hiding. She used the blood-stained sword to warn the boss, "If you dare to touch my son again, you better prepare your coffin."